Welcome to Mic Drop, where I'm going to help you ace your next audition. All right, so today the topic is about syllable stress. Now, we're not talking about stress management techniques, I guess in a roundabout way, but we're managing syllable stress, not, your typical day-to-day stress. What does that mean, syllable stress? Well, if you're having a conversation, you're using it right now. For example, the word conversation. I don't say conversation or conversation. I say conversation. I have the syllable stress on the sation, on the say of sation. Conversation. We just do it naturally. We've learned these words and we've learned where the syllable stress goes just naturally. And it sounds odd if somebody does it a different way. Like the word different. This first syllable is stressed and the second syllable is unstressed. So different. I don't say different. I say different. So what can happen, however, is when we start singing, sometimes that goes out the window, and that's not a good thing. Sometimes we sing words just like they look. One of the biggest offenders is not putting a schwa where there should be a schwa. So schwa is just the sound It's the unstressed vowel sound. One of the biggest offenders of this, like in sacred music, is the word angel. So when we say it angel. First syllable stressed, second syllable unstressed. And then unstressed second syllable is just oh. It's that schwa sound. It's the unstressed vowel sound. Angel. But how many times when you're listening to, say, a Christmas album and they sing, "Hark the herald angels sing. Hark the herald angels sing." What's an angel? Sounds like a hair product. I mean, you need to angel, and you need to sing angel. Hark the herald angels sing. Sounds so much better. So it's really important that you look through whatever you're trying to learn and you decide what syllable stress needs to happen. Sometimes I underline just the syllables that need to be stressed. Let's take a classic Broadway song that you might use for an audition, like Edelweiss. See, it's a German word, but the syllable stress is on the first syllable. We sing Edelweiss. So strong, weak. Edelweiss. It's a little bit hard because the melody is going up, but it's not stressed. We don't sing Edelweiss. Like the vice isn't supposed to be stressed. It's Edelweiss. And then we have the word every, and we sing every strong weeks, every morning, not morning, right? We sing every morning you greet me, small and white. Small is emphasized and is not. It's not an important word. White. Clean and bright. Clean is and is not. Bright is. You look happy. Ha is emphasized. P is not. Happy to meet me. So go through whatever it is that you are learning right now and see if you're doing the syllable stress. Often 2 syllable words will be a strong week. Sometimes it's the other way around. But you need to make sure, no matter what the melody's doing, you need to give the words the proper syllable stress. And look out for those sneaky little schwa sounds so that you're not singing angel, but you're singing angel. There's a lot more than you think in the English language. So one way to know if it's a schwa, It's always going to happen on the unstressed syllable, right? So, I mean, that's just a good way to kind of look through it. Hey, it's an unstressed syllable. Maybe I need to make sure it's a schwa. A lot of examples out there. All right. You're ready to go. Go out there, drop that mic, and I'll see you next time. Welcome to Mic Drop, where I'm going to help you ace your next audition. All right, today I'm going to talk about something I call a shoulder breath. When you watch somebody breathing, when they're singing, when they breathe, how do they move? So there really are two different kinds of breaths that you can take. One is what I like to call an inner tube breath. And that's when, like, if you can put your hand on your diaphragm, so down right here at the kind of above your belly button, and you take a nice deep breath, you see my chest expand some, and my abdomen is expanding, and there's even a little bit of expansion in my back, but my shoulders stay stationary. So I'm breathing when we're seeing, I mean, lots of expansion throughout my body, but I'm not seeing my shoulders lift. Then there are breaths that, see, it's hard for me to do now, honestly, since I've kind of trained myself in the other way, but you'll see people go, and you see how that kind of breath is lifting my shoulders. But you notice something else about it is that it's shallow. You are only filling up part of your lungs. You're only getting that shallow breath. I can breathe in for a lot longer if I take a nice inner tube breath. It's like it's the imaginary inner tube you're inflating around your waist. So think of that way. It's one way to practice doing that is to kind of act like you're sipping in through a straw, making sure that your shoulders do not move. Put your hand like kind of by your belly button and feel that expanding when you take a nice slow breath, and then you can let it out. Sometimes I have people do it like a leaky tire method, where you go and you slowly let that out. If you put your hand like on your, like just above your belly button, you can feel that expansion and the contraction. And it's that slow release of air going that allows you to have that control and have that breath for a longer phrase. Because if you breathe like that, you're going to run out of air really, really quickly. But if you get a nice low inner tube breath, you can sing for a really, really long time without having to take another breath. See, I'm still talking, and it's all the same breath, and I'm using the same air, and though you use a little bit more in singing, this is quite a bit. I have to breathe again. All right, so when you're breathing, when you're singing, you got to do this really quickly. So we'll talk more about in other videos, have some ways to do that. But one thing I challenge you to do is, if you think you have a problem with this, is to film yourself singing something and watch your shoulders. Do you go like that? Or are you taking nice, deep, low breaths that don't move your shoulders? All right. Now you're ready to go out and drop that mic. Break a leg. Hi, welcome to Mic Drop, where I'm going to help you ace your next audition. All right, today we're going to talk about important words versus non-important words. And you might ask, aren't all words important? Don't I need to convey all of the words so they understand what I'm getting at? Well, yes and no. There are some words that convey more meaning than others, and that require more emphasis than others. So let's take an example. Classic Broadway tune, um, Oh, What a Beautiful Morning. Just take the first line. Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. So think about it. In this line, what words do you think would require more emphasis when you sing them versus less? What are the more important words versus the less important words? So let's go through it. Oh, not very important. Doesn't convey a lot of meaning. Whata, also not all that important. But then we get to beautiful. Beautiful morning. Oh, whata, again, also not very important. Beautiful day. So these kind of connecting words, these words like what and these very sort of utilitarian words that don't add a lot of meaning, we're going to de-emphasize. And then these words that do, we're going to emphasize. So I don't just sing, oh, what a beautiful morning, giving everything the same emphasis. That sounds silly. Like if you heard someone sing it that way, you'd be like, what's going on? So we want to sing, oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. And you see, I kind of pulled back a little bit on whata, but then I give it morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. I got a beautiful feeling. Everything's going my way. So I want you to, if you're doing an audition piece, to look at the sentences, the phrases that you have in your piece. And you can even just go through and underline which words need more emphasis and which words are maybe not as important. You can de-emphasize these thes, on, and conjunctions of it, but, for, just a lot of these kind of in-between filler words. And then give the little bit more emphasis on the really weighty, meaningful words. And that will add this layer of expression and beauty to your performance that you won't get if you sing everything like a robot. All right, if you're ready, now go out, drop that mic. See you next time. Hello and welcome to Mic Drop, where I'm going to help you ace your next audition. All right, my topic today is facial expressions. I often have people ask me when they see me like singing in choir, like, how do you smile and sing at the same time? How do you express positive emotions while you're still trying to have good choral vowels? Because often you have to, put the corners of your mouth in, or you have to shape your mouth in such a way that you physically can't smile and sing at the same time. Especially if you're smiling like this, you're spreading your vowels, and so you don't want to sing like this. Typically, you want to sing up and down vertically. So what do? So one thing is you engage the rest of your face. A lot of it has to do with your eyes. And a lot of it can also do with this area up here, your forehead and your eyebrows. See, the thing about eyebrows is that, yes, you can do too much. You never want to create a lot of tension in your face. So if you've got like your eyebrows like all the way to the ceiling and it's causing like your forehead to wrinkle and it's too much, yeah, that can be detrimental. However, you also don't want to be furrowing your brow either. That's also causing tension here in my face. So usually when I sing, my eyebrows are lifted slightly. They're not all the way up here. They're not all the way down here. They're just kind of pleasantly lifted. La, and then I use my eyes and just my whole facial expression. Often you're not going to be able to physically, smile when you sing, but you can have a very pleasant, earnest look on your face. If that's what the music calls for. There's times when you should look sad, concerned, and then maybe do a little subtle, change in your overall face to reflect that emotion. If you want to know what you look like, seriously, just sing in a mirror, or have your phone, record yourself, watch it back, and see if your facial expressions are matching the words that you're singing. And just remember, you never want to do something that causes a lot of tension in your face. Singing, tension is your worst enemy, or at least in the top 3 or 4. All right, so just remember, when you're singing, let it match. Do something subtle. Gosh, Matt, I have to try not to lift just one eyebrow sometimes. That kind of just naturally happens. And do something that doesn't cause tension in your face or anywhere in your head. All right. Now you're ready to go out, drop that mic. See you next time. Welcome to Mic Drop, where I'm going to help you ace your next audition. So today I want to talk a little bit about vocal registers. So what is that? If you've never heard that before, we basically usually talk about 3 different registers. We have our chest voice, we have our head voice, and we have our falsetto. So all of those are very different from each other. The chest voice is we typically use for lower, richer notes, and you feel a lot of vibrations down here in your chest. Your head voice is typically a lighter placement. What you can use as you go up in your range. If you take your chest voice up there, it's going to sound kind of strained usually, and then we have falsetto, and that's for singing really, really high, like the notes that you can't usually hit with your chest voice or your head voice. So let me demonstrate a little bit. So I'm gonna say use the popular song "Somewhere Over the Rainbow." So if I'm singing in my chest voice, I'm going to be singing "Somewhere over the rainbow." Oh, I've got that. It's down there. It's resonating in my chest. It's kind of a full sound. Then if I want to sing the same passage in head voice, it's going to be this lighter placement. I'm feeling more of the vibration up here. Somewhere over the rainbow. Oh, I actually went into falsetto a little bit. Somewhere over the rainbow. It's that feeling of being up here rather than down here. I'm not singing somewhere over the rainbow. I'm singing somewhere over the rainbow. And then the falsetto is when you're you're using that. It sounds false. That's why it's called falsetto. There's somewhere over the rainbow, where you're singing up in that really kind of high, false sounding voice. So why do we need to know about this? So a lot of it has to do with the kinds of songs that you're singing. You want to think about the style of music that you are going for. Some styles use more head voice, some use more chest voice, and you need to be able to know how to go back and forth between them. Sometimes you have a line that starts down low, and then you want to go up high. Later, you want to switch into your head voice. You want to go from your chest voice to your head voice. Like in one thing that comes to mind is the song "Somewhere" from West Side Story. It starts out low. There's, that's a nice chest voice sound. There's, and then it hops up Then there's down in my chest voice and up in my head voice. There's a place for us, somewhere a place for us. Peace. And then, so I'm switching between somewhere a place for us in my head voice, and then I can bring down my chest voice a little bit more. Peace and quiet, and then switch. Open air, wait for us. And then back down my chest voice. Somewhere. And so you have to practice doing that, because if you don't practice, it could be really kind of, it's like changing gears in a manual car where it's kind of jerking you around a little bit. So what I want to invite you to do is to experiment with your voice. See if you can get the different feelings of your chest voice, your head voice, and your falsetto. Play around with that. Like, different people preferred, based on your range, when you switch from chest voice to head voice to falsetto, whatever. So play around with that a little bit. And then when you're thinking about your audition piece, if you're doing an audition, ask yourself, what would be best? When do I want to switch from one to the other? Do I want to stay in one the whole time? It's all up to you. All right. Now you have what you need to do. Go out and drop that mic. Welcome to Mic Drop, where I'm going to help you ace your next audition. All right, so to the topic for today is dealing with holding out long notes with multiple vowel sounds. So you may be like, what? What are you talking about? So take, for example, the English word joy. It's only spelled J-O-Y, 3 letters, but it's got a lot of different sounds in there. You've got the initial consonant, J, and then you've got oy, joy, right? So if you're holding that out and singing a long note, how do you navigate that? You don't want to get to all of the second and the third sounds too early, actually. So the initial sound is, a lot of times we sing it more like an ah. So I sing joy. See what I did there? I kept the first vowel sound, and I kept it for almost until the very end of the note, and then at the very end I added everything on it. Listen again. Joy. So what would have happened if I hadn't waited? It sounds kind of silly, honestly. Joy. Right? You don't want to sound like that, right? Joy. Joy. So there are a lot of words in English that have this. We call this a diphthong or even a triphthong, where there are 2 or even 3 different vowel sounds in a word. And so if you're holding out that word, you want to wait until the very, very end in order to tack vowel sounds 2 through whatever onto the end of that word. So what I'd like you to do is look in whatever you're singing. If you have an audition piece, look if you've got those long held out notes. For example, if you're doing the music of the night, think of the word night. Help me make the music of the... And then he sings, night. See how I held out the of night, and I left the eat, all the other vowel sounds until the very, very end. So look for those in your audition piece or whatever you're working on right now, and see if there's some traps there that you can see. Okay, I need to make sure that I hold out the initial vowel sound for longer before I close. See, one of the big things is if you close to those other vowels, it cuts off the sound, right? If I go to you see it's depressing the vowel sound, and it's going to sound silly. And so you want to wait and delay that for as long as possible. Get it over quick. All right, you have what you need now. Now go out and drop that mic. Good luck. Hello, and welcome to Mic Drop, where I'm going to help you ace your next audition. All right, today the topic is diction. And by diction, I mean pronouncing those consonants. There's lots of good consonants in a musical theater song that you can bring out. One of the big things about musical theater these days is it's very, very wordy. If you ever sung something from Hamilton, you know what I mean. Like you're just going a mile a minute, you're spitting out words, and if you're not careful, that can all run together, and nobody can understand what you're saying. So that's not ideal, especially in an audition. They're thinking and they're looking at you and saying, "Hey, is this person going to be comprehensible when he's up in front of the audience? Are they going to be able to understand him or not?" So some things about diction. It's hard to overdo it. I think one of the things is that we think we're doing it, but we're not actually doing it enough. So, for example, if you're singing the classic song "Put on Your Sunday Clothes" from Hello Dolly, it'd be easy to be "Put on your Sunday clothes, there's lots of world out there." So that's okay, but that's not going to cut through. So you need to look at the clip that you're doing and see which consonants that you can punch a little bit. And you know what? What's interesting is that this applies both to kind of punchy staccato singing and even legato singing. So even though your things are connected, you can still punch those consonants and bring them out, even while you're still connecting everything. So contrast that with "Put on your Sunday clothes, there's lots of world out there." So all I changed was adding a little bit of energy to my consonants. And this is the thing: is it doesn't have to be. It's not necessarily a matter of loud or soft. It's a matter of energy. I'm singing softly. I'm singing, "Put on your Sunday clothes. There's lots of world out there." I can sing it loud. "Put on your Sunday clothes. There's lots of world out there." But what it is I'm infusing those "p" on your Sunday clothes. There's lots of world out there. I'm injecting extra energy into those critical consonants that help things be understood. And you're not going to be able to probably punch everything. And you also want to think about, like, what are my most important words and the most important syllables in those words that I want to be stressed. Put on your Sunday. So the word is Sunday, not Sunday. So I'm not, instead of emphasizing the D in day, I'm going to put more emphasis on the S in sun. Put on your Sunday, sun. I still give D a little bit of do, right? Put on your Sunday clothes. There's lots of world out there. So just looking and saying, where can I infuse that? So I get the question all the time, how do I know if I'm going over the top? Because, there's some times when it's too much. It's hard to do because we always kind of underestimate how much we're doing, is what I typically see. Well, one of the ways you can do that is just to record yourself. Record yourself singing something and see what sort of impact you're making. Does it sound too over the top, or does it just sound like it's a little bit clearer? I mean, you think about an actual performance situation. You're singing in a big hall or theater. You've got to cut through. Even if you're mic'd, you still have to. The microphone only amplifies what you're already doing. And so if you're using bad diction, even if you're mic'd, they can hear you, but they might not be able to understand you. That's a pitfall that sometimes we as performers have. We just think, oh, it's the microphone. They'll be able to hear me just fine. But you still need to use good diction so that they pick up the meaning of the words that you're saying and not just hearing the sound. All right, so go look through what you're working on and see where can I inject more energy in my diction. Remember, it can be injected in soft spots, in loud spots, in smooth spots, and in choppy spots. Like it doesn't matter what kind of thing it is. You can always add a little more that even if it's soft, you can add a little more energy. So it's the kind of stage whisper that helps you understand every word I'm saying, even though it's very soft. All right, now you have what you need. Go out, drop that mic, break a leg. Welcome to Mic Drop, where I'm going to help you ace your next audition. All right, today I'm going to be talking about what do you do to wake up your voice when you've only got a little bit of time where it's like, oh, I'm about to go on in 2 minutes. What are some things you can do to make sure your voice is ready to go? For example, I do some of these actually if I'm like going to a gig and I gotta sing right away and I'm driving in the car. I do some of these while I'm going. So I would say one of the best ones is lip trills or lip buzzes. Just doing, just going higher and higher. So like starting on a. Now, if you're around people, I hold my hand out in front so that you don't spray them. You know, occupational hazard, but it works really well. So just. And that vibration and that activating of that air really helps warm up your voice. It takes a lot of air to do that. You can't just get a shallow breath and sustain that. If you're finding that hard to do, you can also do just on a zzz. Like put your teeth together and go zzz. But I find that it helps if you can do the lips and go that wakes up the voice a little bit more. I also just kind of feel around, like take your fingers and just put them right here and gently just move this from side to side, kind of get some of the crackles out. And I'll say another thing. This is another one I do in my car because it'd be kind of weird to do it with anybody else around. But is to do sirens, is to wake up your upper range. Is you want to be able to go, just push your voice as high as it will go and go. Oh, okay, that was high. I want to try to go a little higher. Oh, and it's just wake up that high range. And try to work both parts of both directions of your range. You want to go as high as you can, but you also want to go down. So I'd say you can do lip trills down, even like, and so on. But those are my things that I do when I really want to wake up my voice really quickly. If I've got a little bit more time to warm up, then I focus a little bit more on things that have they're working different vowels or working different vocal styles. It's doing some staccato stuff and some legato stuff and whatever. Working on breathing. But if you just have that, that's a great thing to do. I also just real quick to loosen things up. Like you don't want to have a lot of tension when you're singing in your neck or your face or whatever. Just gently massaging your face and then taking your head and rolling it from one shoulder down over to the other shoulder and hold it. Just loosening up all of this when you have a few seconds. That's going to help you have that nice, relaxed, effortless tone. Because if anything is feeling tense, you're going to hear it. All right, so maybe those are a few things you can do right before you go in to your next gig or audition. I actually just used them this morning. I sang the Star Spangled Banner at the beginning of a marathon, and right there in the car, I was doing all those things, and it was super early in the morning, but it warmed up my voice great, and I was able to give the kind of performance that I was hoping to give. So Until next time, go out there, drop that mic. Welcome to Mic Drop, where I'm going to help you ace your next audition. All right, today I'm going to be talking about what do you do to wake up your voice when you've only got a little bit of time where it's like, oh, I'm about to go on in 2 minutes. What are some things you can do to make sure your voice is ready to go? For example, I do some of these actually if I'm like going to a gig. I gotta sing right away, and I'm driving in the car. I do some of these while I'm going. So I would say one of the best ones is lip trills or lip buzzes. Just doing, just going higher and higher, starting on a. Now, if you're around people, I hold my hand out in front so that you don't spray them. You know, occupational hazard, but it works really well. So just. And that vibration and that activating of that air really helps warm up your voice. It takes a lot of air to do that. You can't just get a shallow breath and sustain that. If you're finding that hard to do, you can also do just on a zzz. Like put your teeth together and go zzz. But I find that it helps if you can do the lips and go that wakes up the voice a little bit more. I also just kind of feel around, like take your fingers and just put them right here and gently just move this from side to side, kind of get some of the crackles out. And I'll say another thing. This is another one I do in my car because it'd be kind of weird to do it with anybody else around, but is to do sirens, is to wake up your upper range. Is you want to be able to go, just push your voice as high as it will go and go, oh, okay, that was high. I want to try to go a little higher. Oh, and it's just wake up that high range. And try to work both parts of both directions of your range. You want to go as high as you can, but you also want to go down. So I'd say you can do lip trills down, even like, and so on. But those are my things that I do when I really want to wake up my voice really quickly. If I've got a little bit more time to warm up, then I focus a little bit more on things that have they're working different vowels or working different vocal styles. It's doing some staccato stuff and some legato stuff, and whatever. Working on breathing, but if you just have that, that's a great thing to do. I also just real quick to loosen things up. Like you don't want to have a lot of tension when you're singing in your neck or your face or whatever. Yeah, just gently massaging your face, and then taking your head and rolling it from one shoulder down over to the other shoulder and hold it. Just loosening up all of this when you have a few seconds. That's going to help you have that nice, relaxed, effortless tone. Because if anything is feeling tense, you're going to hear it. All right, so maybe those are a few things you can do right before you go in to your next gig or audition. I actually just used them this morning. I sang the Star Spangled Banner at the beginning of a marathon, and right there in the car, I was doing all those things, and it was super early in the morning, but it warmed up my voice great, and I was able to give the kind of performance that I was hoping to give. So, until next time, go out there, drop that mic. Hi, welcome to Mic Drop, where I'm going to help you ace your next audition. All right, today I want to talk about the idea of voice color. And I don't know if that's something you already know about, but let me just explain it by doing a few demonstrations. We have a difference between having a bright voice and a dark voice. And then there's everything kind of in between. Let's take a common folk song I personally like. It's called Michael Row the Boat Ashore. Obviously, my name is Mike. So if you sing that with a dark voice color, it's going to be kind of in the back of your throat here. It's going to be kind of a swallowed sound. So I'm going to sound like Michael row the boat ashore, hallelujah. Michael row the boat ashore, hallelujah. It's kind of that a little bit more kind of an operatic sound where it's very dark. It's very you feel the sound here kind of in the back of your throat, or kind of a swallowed. Oh, Michael row. That's a dark sound. And if you're doing, say, like a Broadway audition, it's probably not what you're going for. A lot of Broadway music and definitely a lot of like pop music, current music doesn't use that dark sound. You might hear it more with classical music, depending on the singer. Then we have the other extreme, which is a really, really bright sound. And I always like to point to the classic Wizard of Oz and the Lollipop Guild. If you haven't seen it, it's the Munchkins, and they sing with a very, very bright sound. It's kind of like you're trying to be a kazoo. You feel it right here in the front of your face. Michael row the boat ashore, hallelujah. I'm not going to subject you to the rest of that. But it's very bright. It's right up here in the front. And that's also usually not what you're going for. Unless you're trying to do a silly voice. And, that's how you do it. Go ahead. But usually what we want is something in between, where it combines the light and the dark into something that is a little more approachable. So if I start from the back and I sing it very dark, then I bring it forward a little bit. Michael row the boat ashore, hallelujah. That's kind of in the middle here. It's not all the way back on the throat, but it's kind of Michael row the boat ashore. It's kind of in the middle, so it's a little bit lighter, but it's not all the way to Michael. So I'm going to take it even a little step further and kind of get it more in sort of the mask of my face without going all the way super nasally to my nose. Michael row the boat ashore, hallelujah. Ooh, I really like that sound. It's pretty forward, so there's a lot of kind of resonance to it, but it's not all the way forward in my nose. It's forward enough where it's kind of in the mask of your face, where it's a good combination of light and dark. So if you're talking about visual arts, they have the idea of chiaroscuro, light and dark combined makes something really interesting. And the same way with your voice, light and dark combined is often a really good way to go. So you sing, Michael row the boat ashore, hallelujah. And that's a sound that you often hear, say, in Broadway. For pop artists or some other modern music, you might even hear a little bit brighter. And a lot of that brightness comes too from kind of having spread vowels. But I would say, evaluate your voice. See, where do you usually sing? Are you back here? Are you up? You're probably not all the way up in the front, right? But where are you in that spectrum? And could bringing your voice forward, bringing the color of your voice more towards a brighter sound be good for you? Or if it's too bright, do you need to rein it back a little bit? That's something to experiment with. And when I say this, a lot of it has to do with where you feel the voice resonating. And that's something you have to kind of play with a little bit within your own voice.
Like when I sing like this, I feel the sound back here, kind of in my throat.
But if I sing like this, I feel it up in my nose. But when I sing like this, I feel it right here in the front of my face. Yeah, sometimes just even talking in different ways and feeling, okay, where do I feel the most vibrations, and what kind of sound am I getting? Is it a dark sound or a brighter sound? So I encourage you to look at your own voice and take an inventory and see where you might want to go with it. You might also want to change your voice color depending on the song that you're singing. I mean, even on Broadway, if I'm singing Old Man River, I'm going to be a little bit more Old Man River. That's okay to sing it a little darker. But if I'm singing Bring Him Home from Les Mis, I'm going God on high. I want a brighter, more forward sound. That I wouldn't sing God on high. Yeah, that would sound a little silly. So, just something to think about. What's the color of your voice? Where do you want it to go? And what's the right color for the song that you're singing? All right, now go out there, drop the mic. Welcome to Mic Drop, where we're going to help you ace your next audition. So today we're going to be talking about vowels. When you're singing, vowels are incredibly important, and they can vary a little bit how you form them based on the kind of singing you're doing. If you want more classical sound, a more pop sound, or a Broadway sound that's kind of in between, you are going to have to adjust it. But the basics really come down to 5 major vowels. We have ah. Notice how it's very tall. Ah, e, o, and oo. It kind of goes in like a from very tall and large to very small. So e, o, oo, which is why I've heard a lot of voice teachers and a lot of choir directors actually warm up on something like I, o, I, o. And you notice how even though those vowels are very different, I'm all keeping them in the same spot. And that's a great technique to warm up on, is keeping all of those vowels, even the ones that want to go in the back of your throat. Like it's really easy to sing an ooh, like I, o, ooh, and kind of swallow that ooh, but you want to keep them all forward. So I, o, ooh. And for all of them, I have the corners of my mouth turned in just slightly. So I want to go ah, not ah. I want to go a, not a. I want to go e, and not e. I want to go ooh, ooh, not. It's kind of hard to do a ooh with a spread, right? Ooh, but ooh and oh and ooh are, yeah, it's easy not to spread your lips on that. But the a, and the e are kind of tough. So when you're warming up, I recommend warming up on those vowels, and so that they're just second nature. And then look at the song that you're going to sing and ask yourself what kind of vowels you're going to use, especially if you're going to adapt some of the vowels. Sometimes, like for example, a lot of religious music, you sing the word Lord, and we don't often sing Lord, or like Lord. Kind of make it a more British vowel, and sing Lord. Make it kind of an ah vowel, even though that the word contains an o. We're trying to get around that r sound that puts things back in the throat. So we sing Lord and not Lord or something like that. So that's your homework for this one. Is look at the song that you're trying to learn, and look at those vowels and ask yourself which words are going to be sung with which vowels, especially if you're going to have to adjust it. All right, till next time. Hello and welcome to Mic Drop, where I'm going to help you ace your next audition, or just learn to sing a little better. So today, the topic is falsetto. So what is falsetto? If you don't already know, it's one of the vocal registers that you can choose between your chest voice, where you're singing with a lot of, kind of feeling it vibrate a little bit lower, singing with a lot of core in your sound, or your head voice, where you've got a little bit lighter placement, rather than falsetto is a vocal register characterized by an even lighter, breathier tone quality that's produced by partially disconnecting the vocal cords. When you sing in falsetto, the vocal cords vibrate only on the edges, creating a sound that's higher in pitch and lighter in tone than your regular singing voice. So you sing, that's falsetto. So often it's associated with male singers who use it to sing way, way higher than you can with your regular voice. But female singers can also sing in falsetto. It's just it's that tone quality where you're just getting the edges of your vocal cords to vibrate. And it's commonly used in different genres. Like a lot of pop music and rock music, they might go up really high using their falsetto. It's just a stylistic choice. It often is used in times to create the sense of emotional vulnerability or intimacy in a song. So one song that I always use falsetto on, for example, if you're talking about in a musical theater context, is the song Bring Him Home from Les Miserables. So this song in particular is a prayer. It's supposed to be the main character, Jean Valjean, is praying to God to spare the life of Marius, who's been wounded in battle. And so you don't want to be, when you're praying, it's this soft kind of intimate pleading. You don't want to be, God on high, hear my prayer. Make it all like operatic. That is a choice. I've never seen anybody make that choice before. But instead, going into your falsetto, and it makes it sound a little bit more vulnerable and intimate. God on high, hear my prayer. So that's a stylistic choice that I use when I sing that song. So one thing about falsetto is that you still have to maintain good breath support and control. This lighter tone is very delicate. And if you don't actually have enough air, enough support, it could end up falling flat. Another thing that's going to help you with is transitioning. If you're going from your chest voice or your head voice into falsetto and back down, that's something you might need to practice, because that transition point can be a little tricky, especially keeping a good breath support through that. So actually the song Bring Him Home is a really good example of that, where sometimes I sing, on high, hear my prayer in my need, and I'm going back down into my head voice. You have always been there. So I transition from my falsetto into my head voice. Always been there, where I'm using all of my vocal cords again. But that can be tricky, and it's definitely not going to be easy if you don't have good breath support. That transition requires a really good supply of air, so that you're not going to run out of air while you're trying to make that transition. That's a recipe for kind of a vocal hiccup, where it sounds like there's a break. It's not going to sound smooth. But with practice, just like anything in singing, you can learn to control and blend your falsetto with other registers of your voice. It opens up more tools in your toolbox. You can have a more versatile and expressive sound. There's other places you can take it that you couldn't without your falsetto. So it's also just really important to approach falsetto singing with care, so that you don't strain your voice or push your voice beyond its limits. Like, I can sing higher with my falsetto, but it's not unlimited. I can't just keep on going up and up and up forever. There's a point where that too is you're feeling kind of strained, don't try to push that, because that could lead to vocal fatigue. That can lead, yeah, to getting worn out, and you just don't want that. Especially if you're feeling pain, feeling discomfort. Singing really shouldn't feel painful. Yeah, that's a warning sign. If you're ever feeling like, oh, ouch, this hurts, like, don't, stop what you're doing, take a break, get a sip of water, do a little more warming up perhaps, and try again. All right, that has been our little talk about falsetto. Now go out there, drop that mic, break a leg. Welcome to Mic Drop, where I'm going to help you ace your next audition, or just learn to sing a little better. All right, today we're going to be talking about warming up the lower register of your voice. I've got another video about warming up your higher register, which is, of course, very important. But you should always go in both directions. Just that's going to help you sing much more naturally. It's going to help preserve your voice, make sure you're all warmed up throughout. So another one thing you want you to think about is that some of these exercises can be used either to go up or to go down. I'm just going to recommend some that I typically use when I'm trying to warm up my lower register, which is, but for me, is my weaker register. I'm very much a tenor. High notes come a lot more easily to me. So if I know I've got to sing something a little lower, I've got to really work on it. And you just need to know your voice and know where you might need to spend more time warming up, whether it's your higher register, your lower register, or both. Well, of course, you always just need to do all of it, but where to spend most of your time. Okay, first one is one that's good for any of them. I've always put my hand out so I don't spit over everything, is doing lip trills, but going down. So and taking it down. And you got to make sure that you're getting enough of a good breath in order to keep your lips going the entire time. So if you're not able to maintain that, you need to start sputtering out and going like that. That means you're not getting a good enough breath. So that's another reason I like this one, is that it also helps you practice breathing correctly and lets you know, gives you a little diagnostic of whether you are getting enough air. Okay, that's the first one. The second one I recommend is just humming. This is a good one to when you're just first starting. You're just trying to warm up your voice. Without pushing it too hard, just starting to hum gently and gradually lowering the pitch until you're going, and see if you can push down as far as you can go. So I will go, and with humming, trying to make the sound vibrate right here in the front, kind of on. Sometimes I call the mask of your face. That will help you, especially if you struggle with low notes, trying to point that sound a little bit forward, make it brighter when we are warming up. And this helps so gently your voice in. So I start with some humming, and then I can move into some of the other stuff often. Glides are another great way to stretch your entire vocal range, including your low register. So to do glides, we start at the bottom of your range and glide. So a low note, then you slide up, and then you come back down again. And you can try different vowels. You can try different levels of intensity, or you can just start out with just the humming, even going. Or you can do on a and that, or change vowels, and see how low that you can take that. At a certain point, you're going to start going like not really be able to produce sound. That's okay. Just try to take it as low as you can. Another one you might hear is just doing some vocal fry. That means kind of making that low creaky sound. Helps kind of warm up and relax the muscles of your low register. So start at the lowest note you can possibly go and kind of make a soft and then you can okay, you hear that's called a vocal fry, and that can help kind of relax things, get yourself ready to go. So remember to warm up gradually and gently. Don't push your voice beyond its limits. If something starts to hurt, that's usually an indication you've gone too far. If you feel any discomfort or strain when you're warming up, stop, take a break, sip on some water, keep hydrated. And and when you feel ready to sing, then go for it. But find a routine that works for you, something you can do consistently, and something that you find helpful. Experiment with different things, and just get to know your voice a little bit better. All right, now go out there, drop that mic. See ya. Welcome to Mic Drop, where I'm going to help you ace your next audition, or just learn to sing a little better. So today I'd like to talk a little bit about caring for your voice, waking up your voice, some tips beyond some of the singing tips that I've given. Of course, it's a good idea to start humming and vocalizing gently. Don't go right into the, like the great big high notes and, your operatic self. Just to start to, or, yeah, so don't put too much strain on them yet. Just on your vocal cords, to start humming comfortably in a range that you're good. And as you warm up, you can add a little bit more core to your sound, but that's a great way to sort of just ease yourself into it. Sipping warm water or like an herbal tea is a great way. I often do an herbal tea with some lemon or some honey. Those are some great ways to hydrate your vocal cords. Don't guzzle water down, just sip it slowly. Like you can do warm water that can help soothe any irritation or dryness that is causing your vocal fatigue. And right then, you also don't want sugary drinks, especially things with caffeine right before you sing or in the lead up to your singing, as that can cause some dryness and irritation. Practicing your breathing exercises is a really good one. Learning you could just sit there and take some good singer's breaths down low in your diaphragm so that you are expanding your abdomen area rather than lifting your shoulders. Just getting that ready and getting that feel so you're ready to sing. It's a good idea also just to gently massage your throat and your neck. This helps increase some blood flow and relieve some tension. I often just take a few fingers and gently massage my vocal cords back and forth. You might feel a little crackling or popping. That's actually okay because that's kind of working out some of that tension. So, but to get that, like the base of your skull, there's often a lot of tension there. Kind of move around, massage like where your jaw hinge is, and just getting this all nice and loose and ready to go. And even doing some light physical activities, just stretching, walking, or even doing some gentle yoga can help also wake up your body and improve your circulation. You're going to want to have a lot of circulation so that your mind is alert and you're ready to sing. That's going to help you have good breath support and good vocal control. So try to work this time in. Give yourself enough time to warm up your voice before a big performance, so that you don't have to do it so quickly. It will treat your voice a little bit better. You're less likely to do harm to your voice. All right, so please try that next time you've got something coming up. Start getting in those good habits. If you take care of your voice, It's going to be there for you when you need it most of the time. A little disclaimer, like sometimes, you know, it will just not be there. But hopefully that will be the exception if you are treating your voice right. All right. So now go out there, drop that mic, break a leg. Hello and welcome to Mic Drop, where I'm going to help you ace your next audition, or just learn to sing a little better. So today I want to talk about vocal ranges. So why is that important to know? The vocal range is how high or how low you can sing. And it's very good to know that because you're going to get asked this a lot. Like if you want to try out for a choir, or you want to try out for a musical, or if you want to take voice lessons, they're going to ask about your range. Especially in musical theater, there are parts that are written for high voices or lower voices or voices in between. So it's really good for you to know where you fall on that. And that being said, through work and through careful training of your voice, you can expand your range. But it's nice to have a snapshot of where you are right now. So let's start at the top. The highest voice part is the sopranos. So these are typically singers with the highest vocal range, ranging from about C4, middle C, to high C6 or even higher. So C6, that's very, very high. But a true soprano will likely be able to hit that. So if you go to a piano, C4 is middle C. If you're a piano player, just right in the middle of the keyboard, like in the so that gives you an idea. So starting there, going way up into the rafters. We also have a mezzo soprano, and the mezzo soprano have a little bit lower vocal range than sopranos, so it's kind of the medium one, about A3 to A5. And so these are just suggestions too. Like people are going to vary, like their lower range and their upper range. These are just kind of, ballpark suggestions. Under the mezzo sopranos, we have the altos, and these are singers with a little bit lower vocal range, typically from F3 to F5. And so, in like a choir, most of the often female singers will sing soprano, mezzo soprano, or second soprano, sometimes called alto or second alto, which is even lower. Though there are some instances in which male singers can cross over into some of the other parts, like alto. Same thing with going with tenor, bass, and baritone. These are traditionally male singing parts, but there might be some women with lower voices that can go down and sing tenor, for example. So tenor, this is a high vocal range, and so usually the male voice, C3 usually to up about C5 at the very, very top. That's a very, very high tenor. But that's about it. This is kind of what I'm in. You can kind of tell. I go a little bit, for example, a few notes lower than C3. I can usually sing comfortably, and I can go up to almost a C5 most days. C5 if I'm really warmed up. Baritone, that's the kind of the middle part. These are usually male singers with a mid vocal range, about A2 to A4, though they're probably some room on either side of that. And then basses, the lowest vocal part of all, E2 to E4, approximately. So it's important just to know these. Just go to a piano if you can play piano, and just start at middle C and go up and go down and see where you are and see, okay, what am I? Or just go as high as you can go without straining your voice. Go as low as you can go without straining your voice. And typically we talk about your comfortable voice and your regular singing voice. Like a lot of men can use falsetto to go even higher, but your true range, most of the time, we're talking about what you can sing comfortably in your normal singing voice. All right, so if you don't know already, go out and test yourself, or find somebody who plays the piano if you don't, or plays an instrument and can test you. There are also ways online that you can test yourself. There's YouTube videos that will allow you to determine what your range is. So, armed with that knowledge, you can better move forward. All right, now go out there drop that mic. Hello and welcome to Mic Drop, where I'm going to help you ace your next audition, or just learn to sing a little better. Today I'd like to talk about dynamics. So if you've done other kinds of music, then you probably heard the term dynamics. It just means how loud or soft you're singing, or playing if you're doing an instrument. So there's a lot of different techniques that you can do in order to use your dynamics. One of the big ones is if you want to have good dynamics, it starts on the foundation of good breath control. Because if you have good breath control, you can control how much air you're using at any given time, and or leave some air in reserve so that you can get louder. So if you don't have a lot of air, it's hard to say crescendo, to get louder over time, or decrescendo, to get softer over time. But if you've got good breath control, you can start really soft. And crescendo and get louder over time. But if I don't have a lot of good breath control, that's going to be a really jerky transition. A lot of it has to do with your articulation as well. Your dynamics are going to sound better if you use good articulation. And that's especially true when you're singing softly. If you're singing softly, you need to use more articulation with your consonants so that people can still understand you. Same with when you're singing. When you're singing. So if I'm singing row, row, row your boat, you know, row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. It's a lot different than row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Like, it's harder to understand, but if you have that energy, even when it's soft, yeah, it's easy to see, oh yes, if you're singing really loudly, that requires a lot of energy. But actually soft singing, done right, still requires a lot of energy. It's like a stage whisper where you can still understand someone perfectly, even though they're whispering. Because I'm using a lot of energy and I'm injecting that articulation into what I'm singing or saying. So look at whatever you're doing and decide, what do I want to do with my dynamics? One of the biggest things is when you're holding out a note for a long time. You've got a long held note. The worst thing you can do in most situations is nothing. That is, nothing with your dynamics. You need to either be growing or you need to be contracting and shrinking your sound. So instead of just going la and staying the same, you either want to be going la or la. Yeah, so you want to be doing something, or sometimes you even will do, you might see this hairpins, like a crescendo and a decrescendo. So you want to go la, something like that. You want to take those long notes and make them interesting, because if you don't do anything with them dynamically, they're not going to be interesting. So that's your homework. Look at whatever you're trying to sing, if it's an audition piece or whatever else, and look, where can I use my dynamics? Where do I have those long notes that I can do something with, either growing or shrinking? What parts do I want to be louder or softer, or do I want there to be a big contrast? Sometimes it really wakes people up, or makes them really take notice if you're singing really loud and then you go really soft, or vice versa, right? You know, dynamics add a lot to what you're trying to do. But remember, the biggest thing about dynamics, if you're going to use them after you've made your plan of where you want to sing soft and loud and grow, everything, you need to be doing the fundamentals of breathing right. Because if you don't have that, you're not going to have dynamics. All right, that's all for this little lesson. Now go out there and drop that mic. Break a leg. Welcome to Mic Drop, where I'm going to help you ace your next audition, or just become a better singer in general. Today I wanted to talk about muscle memory. So why is this important? Why are we talking about muscle memory? Because it's going to make you a better singer, and it's going to make it easier to be a better singer. So lots of sports players, lots of athletes in general, they rely on muscle memory in order to just kick in and sort of take over, so that they can consistently perform at a high level. So a basketball player is going to shoot free throws over and over and over and over again, hundreds of times, so that that motion is just so natural you barely have to think about it. And so when that is natural and kind of on autopilot, you can think about other things. Like while you're trying to make the free throw, you can be looking around, giving some attention to the other players around you, whether you need to pass or whether you need to dodge a player on the other team. So music's a lot like that too. There's a lot of little habits that you can practice over and over and over again. And if you do that consistently, it will take that mental load off, that you'll just do them naturally. And so you won't have to think about it. You can think about other things. Because if nothing else, there's a lot of mind work that goes into singing. Here's just one example. There are many different examples, like for breathing, about how you're shaping the inside of your throat and your mouth. Lots of different things. Well, here's a good example. One is shaping your mouth and learning to go from a spread vowel that's like this, singing E, to a vertical vowel like this, E, E, versus E. So when a lot of people start singing, they still start there somewhere along this spectrum, and they're probably a little bit brighter on the E instead of the E, because that's not quite as natural. And I have singers, when they come to me for lessons, that when they start out, they're like, oh, that's so weird. Like, it feels so funny to go E instead of E, or E just E. Yeah, somewhere in between. But over time, as I insist, okay, you got to do it. Do it every single time. We're going to practice with every song. Your body remembers it. You get that muscle memory, and then you go to sing an eval, and you just sing E, and it's no big deal. And so you can think about something else. You can think about your breathing. You can think about what you're going to do with your hands or with your face, or any number of other things that you need to think of when you're singing. So what you need to do is think about, what is a habit that I want to develop for my singing? Whether it's your facial expressions, things you do with your hands or your mouth, or your breathing technique, whatever it is. Say, okay, I'm going to work on that, and do it every single day. No matter what. These things will not take very long, but try it out every single day. And over time, you will develop that muscle memory, so that just is automatically there when you need it. All right, now go out there, drop that mic, break a leg. Welcome to Mic Drop, where I'm going to help you ace your next audition. So today, we're actually not talking about the throat, the mouth, anything up here. We're talking about our hands. You might ask, what do hands have to do with singing? Well, not a lot directly, but quite a bit more about your performance. Your overall stage presence is going to be affected by what you do with your hands. One of the biggest things I tell my voice students is the number one rule about your hands is that they never go in your pockets while you're singing. This thing, so if you've got this nice singer stance, and you have your sternum high, your shoulders up, back, and down, and you're singing, nice deep breaths, all that. What happens if you then put your hands in your pockets? You slump right over. It cuts off your airway. It makes your shoulders slump forward, typically. It's just not good for singing. And on top of that, it just looks too casual. It looks like you're just kind of like hanging out instead of, giving a performance. A common thing I hear from choir directors that I have heard from over and over is that people listen with their eyes. Of course, they also listen with their ears, but the vibe that you're giving out, the things that they see influence what they think about your performance. So if you're looking confident and you're looking like you know what you're doing, that's one thing. But the second you slump over, that does not convey that sense of confidence that you want to, and people will judge your performance for it, like it or not. All right. So what should you do with your hands? Well, I say there are two things that you can do with your hands. Either one, you keep them loosely at your side. You don't want to hold them like militarily to your side, like really hard. You don't want to create more tension. So just nice and loosely to your side. That's kind of the home base that is going to keep things out of the way. If they're there, people are probably not even going to notice what you're doing with your hands, which is great. You want the focus to be on the voice, what you're producing, your facial expressions, but it is also okay in most circumstances, especially if you're doing an audition, to gesture with your hands, to do something like you're singing, "If I were a rich man," and you're spreading your arms and dancing around like Tevye does. That's okay. But what you want to make sure is that your movements look natural, that they make sense, and that you don't always do the same movement all the time. I have a movement that I see with my students that I call the waiter. Like some singers will do this and go, with each phrase. Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. I've got a beautiful feeling. And I just do that over and over again. That's very unnatural. So, if in doubt, record yourself during your performance and watch what you do with your hands and with the rest of your body in general, and see if it looks natural. Because if you add natural emotions to things, that can look great, and that can add to your performance and show that you've got good acting skills. However, if you overdo it, can really detract from what you're trying to do. And sometimes it's so distracting that it overshadows your voice. So, take a look at what you're doing, have other people watch you, or record yourself, or perform in front of a mirror, and watch yourself. And make sure that your hands aren't getting in the way. All right, now go out there, drop that mic, break a leg. Hi, and welcome to Mic Drop, where I'm going to help you ace your next audition. So today we're going to talk about an extremely important topic, which is taking care of your voice. It's a unique thing. Your instrument is part of your body. And we all know that the human body can go through ups and downs. 1 week you might be on top of the world, you're singing great, and then you catch laryngitis. And you can barely speak at all. So it's a living instrument. It's not like a violin or a piano, that they can't catch a cold and not play for you. So it's really especially important if you're singing a lot, that you make sure that you're taking care of your voice in the best way possible. So the ground rule is to hydrate. That's the first line of defense. Drinking plenty of water before, during, and after singing, especially when you're practicing or performing for a long time, is going to help keep everything nice and lubricated in your throat, your vocal cords, and it's going to help reduce any strain or damage to your vocal cords. I always say if you know that you're going to be singing for a long time, start earlier in the day, a couple hours before. It sometimes takes a little while for that water to kind of be incorporated into your body. So start then, bring a water bottle to sip on if you can, and afterwards, of course, replenish that as well. And another thing I'll say about drinking is caffeine and other carbonated drinks can sometimes do a number on your throat. So I have a hard and fast rule that if I've got a performance in a coming day, uh, later in a day, I avoid that stuff completely. Caffeine can have a drying out effect. So probably something you want to avoid when you have a performance coming up or you know that you're going to be practicing for a long time. You also want to avoid other things that can irritate your voice. Exposure to pollution, of course, like, you don't want to be around a place where there's a lot of irritants in the air. Cigarette smoke, you don't want to hang out in a smoky place and then try to sing. That's really going to irritate your voice. And really just where the air is super dry, if you're breathing really, really dry air for a long time, you're going to have to offset that with taking in more water. Now we have the concept of vocal hygiene. And that means, what are you doing with your voice? If you go to a concert and you're yelling and screaming, and even if you're whispering is also kind of hard on your voice. So you don't want to do it for an extended period of time. So if you know that, for example, you're going to be speaking to a group of people, see if you can get some amplification. Get yourself a microphone so that you don't have to yell to be heard. And actually, even speaking and singing with good posture can help there be less strain on the voice. Because if you're kind of slumped over and you've got things are kind of tense there, that's not going to help. Giving yourself plenty of time to rest, as that vocal rest is super important. Take regular breaks while you're practicing, and then like after you're done with the big long performance, don't talk for a little while. Try to avoid talking or singing. There's a lot of power in just giving it a rest. And if you see, oh, I'm getting hoarse, things are not looking so good, the next day wake up and say, make yourself a little sign or something. Say, I'm on vocal rest. Please don't talk to me. Send me a text. And that actually can really, really help heal things and let things work themselves out. It's also a really good idea to warm up your voice before you do a lot of big singing. It's a good idea just to put your voice through the paces, just like an athlete would. Warm up. You can even cool down when you're done, doing some light humming, some light lip trills, things like that can help either warm up or then cool down your voice afterwards. Now, I will say, if something persists for a long time, or you're just having a hard time producing sound like you used to, or it just really irritated over a longer period of time, there are some times where you need to seek professional help. Go see an ear, nose, and throat doctor. People can develop nodes on their vocal cords, which need to be surgically removed. And if you don't do that, you risk injuring your vocal cords even further. So, if you suspect that there's something else wrong with your voice that's not clearing up within a week or two, or after you've taken good care of your voice and hydrated and done vocal rest and all these things, go see a doctor about it. All right, so those are all good things that are going to help you keep your voice healthy so that you can audition well. So, unfortunately, sometimes you get to the day of the audition and your voice just isn't there. It's not worth it to push it beyond its limits. Do your best, or just try to reschedule, or to say, you know what, this one's just not going to work out. But pushing your voice when it's strained and tired is a recipe for causing further damage. So I really recommend against that if you can at all avoid it. All right, you know what to do. Now go out there, drop that mic, break a leg. Welcome to Mic Drop, where I'm going to help you ace your next audition. All right, so today we're going to be talking about mouth shape. So what do I mean by that? I mean that there's a certain kind of standard shape for the different vowel sounds that you're going to make while you're singing. And I should preface this by saying this applies to English. If you are a singer of a certain type, especially like a classically trained singer, you're going to be singing in various languages. And each language has its own little things. For example, singing in German, yeah, you have some vowel sounds that you don't even have in English, for example, and so this advice may or may not apply. So take that with a grain of salt. A lot of people sing in Italian and French and German and yeah, who knows what else. So today let's talk about some English vowel shapes. Okay, so the first one that I like to talk about is ah. So for ah, remember ah is jaw. So open your mouth wide and drop your jaw. Ah, ah. The back of your tongue should be low, and the tip of your tongue should be touching the bottom of your front teeth. Ah. And for this as well, you should take the corners of your lips, the corners of your mouth, and make sure that they are turned in. This will create a more mature, balanced, warm sound than if you if you try to go ah. It's going to sound ah, a little bit more like tinny and unrefined. But if you go ah, ah, that's going to sound a lot better. Okay, so that's ah. Next we have eh. Keep your mouth relatively closed. Eh, with your lips a little bit more slightly apart. The back of your tongue should be high, and the tip of your tongue should be touching the bottom of your front teeth. It's kind of like ah. So ah, and then eh, ah, eh. Okay, then we have e. E. Keep your mouth relatively closed with lips slightly apart. The back of your tongue once again should be high, and the tip of your tongue should be touching the roof of your mouth behind your front teeth. E. Well, or you can. I actually prefer to keep it actually behind the bottom of my front teeth too for e. So I. So notice we're kind of closing it. We start a little bit more open with ah, and we go to a, and we go to e. I. That's a really good exercise, actually, is trying to go seamlessly between the vowels and see how smooth you can make it, going from I, O. So next we have O. Round your lips into a small circle. The back of your tongue should be low, and the tip of your tongue should be touching the bottom of your front teeth. Oh, oh, very round. And then finally, ooh. Round your lips into a very small circle, as if you're saying ooh, ooh. The back of your tongue should be high, and the tip of your tongue should be touching the roof of your mouth behind your front teeth. Ooh. See, I kind of like down low there as well, like leaving it behind the bottom front teeth. I-O. So it's important to remember these are just general guidelines. The exact shape of your mouth might vary based on the kinds of words you're saying, the language you're singing in, and also when you have different combinations of vowels, that can get a little tricky too. You might you take the word joy, and you think about it. We've got the j, got the o, and you got the oi. Joy. Like there's really several vowel sounds in that joy. We say it really quick, like joy to the world. But if you have to hold it out? What do you do? Joy. Like that. So it's really important to make sure that you start to build up the muscle memory so that you're singing these vowels correctly. That if you have an ah, you're singing ah, and you're not singing ah. If you're singing E, once again, you want to keep the corners in, and you want to sing E and not E. A, not A, O. It's kind of harder to spread an O or an oo because you just naturally do that. But the ah, the A, and the E can be really tricky, and it might not feel natural. You might think you look silly, but honestly, you get used to it. You develop that muscle memory, and then you just start singing it like that automatically, and your voice sounds a lot better. It sounds a lot more mature, and it's going to help you a lot in the long run if you develop that. All right. Now, go out there, drop that mic, break a leg. Welcome to Mic Drop, where we're going to help you ace your next audition. All right, so today, what are we talking about? What are some signs that you're not breathing properly? So in other videos, you talked about the difference between an inner tube breath, where your whole middle part of your body fills up with an inner tube of air, and you've got lots and lots of air in the tank, and a shoulder breath that's really shallow and only fills up your lungs, part way. So, how do you know if you're really getting enough breath? So, a couple different signs to look for. Number one, shortness of breath. If you're running out of breath quickly, then you're probably not breathing properly. So if you're like in the middle of the line, you kind of gasp for breath, like in the middle of a sentence, the middle of a phrase. That may seem obvious, but yeah, look, like if you can't go the entire phrase, like without having to gasp for air, then you're probably not getting enough. Tension in your neck and shoulders. That can also be a sign, like one that you're having poor posture, but it's also that you're not breathing correctly. You should not feel any tension here in your neck or your shoulders. You shouldn't be lifting your shoulders when you breathe. That kind of breath, you feel that tension there. So if you're feeling that tension, you're not getting a good breath. Another indication that you're not breathing correctly is poor vocal tone. If your voice sounds weak, strained, or shaky, it can be a sign that you're not getting enough breath. So in order to produce a nice, strong tone that's got some core in it, like you need to have a little breath. You've got to have the fuel in order to create that. And if you don't, if you just you can easily mess up your tone if you don't have enough breath to support it. Another one is inconsistent pitch. Your singer is struggling to hit the right notes. Their pitch is wavering, especially at the end of phrases. Like you get to the end of a line and you're trying to hold out that last little longer note or something, and you hear the pitch start to sag. That's an indication that you're probably not breathing correctly, because the pitch is not sustaining. Yeah, you want it to be like no, like straight the whole time. But if you're running on a breath, it might be so that your pitch will sag as you run out of breath. Also, difficulty sustaining notes. Like if you're supposed to hold it for a long time and you can't do that without taking another breath in the middle, you're not probably breathing enough or in the right spot. It's then time to go back to the drawing board and say, where do I need to breathe and how do I need to breathe in order for me to hold out this note long enough? So it's not just the physical things, it's the pitch, it's the tone. And if you're saying, hey, why aren't my pitch and tone better, it might just be that you're not getting enough breath. So watch for these things in yourself. Take a little inventory of your singing. Are any of these things plaguing you? And if they are, it might be time to work on your breathing techniques. And of course, like any new thing that you do with that has to do with the muscles of your body, it's going to feel really strange at first, especially if you're not used to taking those low, deep breaths and filling your body up like an inner tube, and then kind of holding it there and having that air that you can draw on as you need, and you can keep talking without breathing again. You notice that I just keep on going and going, and I haven't taken another breath. So that's something to work on, and your muscle memory will kick in. So eventually you'll go to sing your song and you'll just breathe like it was nothing. All right. So, good luck. Go out there, drop that mic. Break a leg. Hello and welcome to Mic Drop, where I'm going to help you ace your next audition. All right, today we're going to be talking about one aspect of high notes. I'm sure I'll do several ones on high notes because there's lots of different things to think about high notes. They can be kind of scary. Don't have to be. A lot of it is a mind game. A lot of it is looking at your sheet music and being like, "Whoa, that's above the staff." Like I can't do that. Getting in your own head, and unfortunately, what that does, you get anxious, you tense up, you tense up in your throat, you tense up in your face. Those are not things that are conducive to singing. You need to be as loose as possible and open to hit those high notes. So, first tip of all high notes, calm down. You can do it. Okay, so prepare yourself mentally for it. Sure, check. But today we're going to be talking specifically about the aspect of hitting a high note that has a weird vowel. So this is what I mean. Like there's sometimes you hit a word on a high note that's really easy to sing. It's like something with an ah vowel. That's not too bad. Like ah, ah. That's really easy just to belt that out. You just drop your jaw, corners in, putting space up here. Ah is a really easy vowel to sing high. But when you get things that are like diphthongs, where you've got multiple vowels, or something that might sound that's not as open as an ah vowel is, like you have to sing an o vowel or an oo vowel. So ah and eh and e, not too bad, right? But when you were singing o or oo, or even a diphthong, that can be really a challenge sometimes. So, for example, there's the classic musical Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. And at the end of the number Close Every Door, the word is own. A land of our own. And you have to hit that really high note while doing a very closed vowel, own. And you've got multiple sounds in there. You have to figure out, okay, so how am I going to navigate all of those sounds? In this case, a lot of times when you're singing a really high note, you can modify the vowel slightly to make it a little bit more of an open sound. So this is a song I've sung a lot of times. I really like it. It's a great song. It's got those big dramatic high notes that are so fun to sing. But when I go to this last one, a land of I change it from O, and I add a little bit of ah into my O. Because people are going to understand. Like, this is a lyric you've already sung before. Land of our own. Like, low, and like, even context. They're going to get what you're saying, right? So you don't need to worry so much like, oh, that sounds a little bit funny. I mean, don't change the word completely. But what you can add often is a little bit of ah or a little bit of eh or e, something that is a little bit more open to your closed vowel. And as I've said I don't know if you've watched more of my videos, I talk about how you need to hold that vowel until the very, very end of the long note and then add the other stuff on. Like, so the own. And like all the one it goes at the very end. So a land of own, and then you do it there. So when you're looking at a high note, you've got a weird like vowel. I don't want to sing land of our own. I don't want to sing like that, right? Land of our I can sing like own, land of our own. A little more British. You can modify the vowel. See if you can do that. Modify it to add a little bit of something more open to it, so that it's easier to project, to open your mouth a little bit more, and still be understood. So this may be something you need to do with your recorder and see, like, okay, does that still sound reasonably like the word land of own? Yeah, like that still sounds, reasonably like the word own. So it doesn't always need to be exactly like you say it, is what I'm saying. So that's something to consider. Look through your piece and see if you've got those high notes. And of those high notes, are they funny vowels? Are they things that you might need to modify? And then go ahead and play around with those to see how it sounds. All right. Now go out there, drop that mic, break a leg. Welcome to Mic Drop, where I'm going to help you ace your next audition, or just learn to sing a little better. All right, today we're going to be talking about ways that you can improve your pitch accuracy. I mean, that's a pretty fundamental thing. One of the key elements of singing beautifully is maintaining good pitch accuracy. So if you're not maintaining the accuracy, you're probably going flat, which means that instead of singing right on the tone, that you're going a little bit under the tone. So instead of going la, you're going la. You're right under the tone. Or you could be way under where you're supposed to be, or just slightly under. It's something that even untrained listeners can pick up on, especially if it's a well-known song and they're like, wow, something doesn't sound quite right. And that's what will happen if you don't maintain good pitch accuracy. So here are a few tips to maintain your pitch. Tip number 1. Developing your ear is fundamental to maintaining pitch accuracy. So start by listening to various genres of music and pay close attention to the melodies and the way that singers hit the notes. You can also practice using simple exercises like matching pitches with a piano or another instrument, or using ear training apps like on your phone. There's all sorts of these today to enhance your ability to recognize different notes and to hit them consistently. 2, make sure that you warm up before you sing. It's crucial to warm up your voice. If you don't warm up your voice, it's going to be harder to maintain your pitch. These warm-ups are going to help loosen your vocal cords, relax your muscles here in your neck, and prepare you for accurate singing. So stretch out your high range, stretch down to your low range. Do some physical things too, like moving your head around, stretching out this whole area. If your shoulders are tight, doing moving your shoulders around, just whatever you can do to loosen up all through here. The third is breathing techniques, is focusing on getting good breath. Controlling your breath is vital for maintaining pitch accuracy. So just think about holding out a really long note or listening to somebody hold out a long note. If they start to lose breath near the end, the pitch that's been on so-called on par starts to drop, and you'll get la. So that you'll start or at the end it will just kind of taper off. So in order to maintain, especially for these like long notes, and basically any note, you need to have deep breaths from your diaphragm, ensuring that your stomach area expands as you inhale. And as you focus on maintaining this consistent breath support throughout singing, it's going to help you hit notes accurately. And when running out of breath, it's going to have the opposite effect, especially if you're holding a long note and you're running out of breath, your pitch is going to start sagging. So practice, the tip number 4 is practice singing along. Practice singing along with a reference pitch. Use a piano, a guitar, or a tuning app that generates a steady pitch. So a lot of instruments, for example, generate an A with either like their phone these days or with a tuning instrument. And start by matching it and holding it as long as you can. As you run out of breath, you might dip below. Gradually move to different pitches and intervals, challenging yourself to stay in tune. And record yourself, that's a big one, and analyze the playback so you can listen. Okay, am I really staying in tune? Sing along with other singers. Sing along so with the recordings of other singers and see, and record yourself and see like, hey, am I actually maintaining the melody like the singer is, or am I not? Then tip number 5 is practice singing with others. Singing in a group, or even just a duet or a trio, small group, can greatly improve your pitch accuracy. So harmonizing with others challenges your ears and helps you blend your voice with different voice timbres. So some people might have a very bright voice, some people might have a very deep, very dark voice. There's just all sorts of different voices out there. Joining a choir or other vocal ensemble, or even participating in karaoke nights where you're trying to harmonize with other people, can provide opportunities to practice your pitch accuracy. And, if you're with other people, they can provide you good support. I definitely recommend that. And then finally, especially if you're new to learning how to sing, seek professional help and guidance. Consider working with a voice teacher, vocal coach who can provide personalized feedback. They can help you identify specific areas that you struggle with your pitch accuracy and suggest different exercises that are tailored to help you with that. And just overall, a trained professional is going to assist you in developing proper vocal technique. That's going to help you with pitch accuracy, like learning to breathe right and learning to warm up right. And just going to help you learn and maintain those habits, and all these habits put together will help you stay better in tune. All right, now you're ready to go out and drop that mic. Break a leg. Hello and welcome to Mic Drop, where I'm going to help you ace your next audition, or just learn to sing a little bit better. Today we are talking about a really important topic. It's about projection. Sometimes you're not going to have a microphone when you sing. And even if you do have a microphone, you need to practice good projection skills. But sometimes you're going to need to be able to let the people in the back row hear you. And you need to practice really good projection techniques. So I've got 6 tips for you. Tip number 1 is all starts with proper posture and alignment. Maintaining proper posture is crucial for projecting your voice. Stand tall with your feet shoulder width apart. Relax your body and align your head, neck, and spine. So I often tell people to put your shoulders up, take them back, and down. Now, this alignment allows for optimal breath support and vocal resonance. Imagine that you're a marionette. You've got a string pulling you upward from the crown of your head, keeping your body open and free from tension. That is going to help you have that good posture, and that good posture is going to allow for the second thing, tip number 2, which is diaphragmatic breathing. That's a long word for saying breathing from your diaphragm, getting a nice low breath that expands the lower part of your abdomen. To project your voice, you need a steady and supported breath flow. You just can't do it without it. If you're only breathing from up here and your shoulders are going up, you're only breathing shallowly. You're going to run out of air. And you might start the line nice and projected, but it's going to go south really quickly, and you're not going to be able to maintain the projection. So practice this by engaging your diaphragm and your lower abdomen to inhale deeply. As you exhale, control the release of air and feel your core muscles there in your abdomen, providing the necessary support. This technique creates this strong foundation for projecting your voice with power and clarity. Otherwise, you're going to run out and you won't be able to project. Tip number 3, using vocal exercises for projection. Oh, this is a good one. There are specific ones that you can use to help you get into that frame of mind to project. That you can. One thing that I really like to do is starting softly and then slowly crescendoing, adding more. And gradually getting louder. I find also one thing that helps me get into the right thing is just saying the word ha. And I'm telling my students, say ha, and I'll feel it down in your stomach. That little muscle contraction, say ha, ha, and I'm aiming at the back wall. And I'm shooting the word ha straight out of my mouth, and it's going to hit the back wall. And then you sing like that, ha, ha. Sorry, that was yeah, just a demonstration. Also, repeating phrases or doing warm-ups with emphasized sounds like B, D, G, so these kind of strong consonants. This ba 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 ba, changing the vowel ba 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 ba, or even changing the consonant and go da 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 ga 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 ga. Using these strong ones that help you get in that right frame of mind and frame of voice, I should say. 4 is understanding your resonance and placement. So understanding the resonance and placement of the sound in your own head and just throughout your own mechanism here can significantly impact your ability to project your voice efficiently. Experiment with different vowel shapes. And if you listen to my other videos, they're not these they're not these horizontal shapes, but vertical ones, taking your 2 index fingers and making a vertical vowel by placing them around your mouth. And also just experimenting with your own voice and finding, hey, where can I put the sound in my head here that's more resonant? So if I sing like this, for example, la, that's not a very resonant sound for me. Instead, when I open up and I place it where I know it's resonant and I lift my soft palate, it goes from la to la to la, la. Did you hear that extra resonance when I open things up? So experiment with your own voice, and that's going to help you when you find that place that resonates best. It's going to help you project. Articulation and diction is tip number 5. Clear articulation and diction are essential for projecting your voice and being understood. Practice exercises that focus on enunciating consonants and vowels crisply. Like I used to use tongue twisters in choir growing up. We'd say millions of monks in a Minnesota monastery going up, and then going down, it would be 99 nuns in an Indiana nunnery, 99 nuns in an Indiana nunnery, stuff like that. Just silly things that are kind of tongue twistery. And that's going to help you also get into that proper vocal technique. And then finally, tip number 6 might not be as obvious, but having confidence. If you have confidence, in yourself and your abilities, it's going to be easier to project your voice. It's so easy to tell when you're watching a singer who is not confident. You can tell they're holding back, and that it's literally going to hold you back from projecting as much as you can. So if you have confidence and you've prepared so that you know, okay, I know what I'm doing, I practice, I have confidence in my performance, people can sense that. They can see it in your body language, in your face, and they can hear it in your voice. Absolutely, singing is a mind game. It really, really is. So developing that confidence is going to help you kind of be uninhibited so that you can project your voice. All right, now you are ready to go out. Drop that mic. Break a leg.